All right, next we have a proclamation of the board in recognition of Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, and I believe Winchell is here to receive that, Winchell Dillenbach. So welcome, Winchell. Whereas the theme of National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week 2023 is being homeless is not a crime and housing is a human right. And whereas people from all walks of life, including individuals, families with children, employed and unemployed workers, elderly residents, veterans, disabled individuals, youth and individuals are impacted by hunger and homelessness. And whereas the community recognizes that hunger and homelessness continue to be a serious problem for many individuals and families living in Humboldt County, and no one should have to worry about whether they will have food on their plate or a roof over their head. And whereas the California Center for Rural Policy reported in their Humboldt County food assessment that hunger is a daily experience and that food insecurity exists with 40% of low-income adults, 37% of households with children, and 57% if the household is ran by a single parent, and 17% of seniors. Most live on fixed incomes or survive paycheck to paycheck. And whereas while homelessness creates barriers to accessing essential services such as affordable health care, housing, child care, and education, the cost of these necessities often contributes to hunger, food insecurity, and people experiencing homelessness on any given night. And whereas the aim for the National Coalition for Homelessness is to eradicate homelessness by solving the root causes of it, to educate the public about the many reasons people are hungry and homeless, including the shortage of affordable housing for low-income residents, and to encourage support for the organizations committed to sheltering, providing supportive services as well as meals, food supplies, clothing, and hygiene products to the homeless and hungry. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that November 13th through the 21st, 2023, shall be known, designated, and set aside as Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, and encourages all people in the community to work together to find meaningful solutions for these programs.
Okay, I'll be brief, and I forgot my reading glasses. So that's an ageism. My name is Winchell Dillenbach. I am a McKinleyville resident, an Affordable Homeless Housing Alternatives Advisory Council member, a member of Healthcare for All, and a member of the Alliance for Retired Americans, all who are impacted by this issue. I thank the Board of Supervisors for recognizing National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. I think if you listen to the proclamation, kind of says most of all of what we need to do. While there has been progress made on dealing with the homeless population, the issue is really without any permanent solution. And I think that people need to recognize I've been working on this issue since 2016. And there's not a lot of movement. And I've also read, way back the 2005 homeless, the way to eradicate homelessness. And it says it in the proclamation, but I think this is just an ongoing issue that we're gonna have to deal with. I urge you to support the establishment of safe parking programs, sanctioned legal camps, and tiny house villages, as well as any other services that provide housing, food, and mental health services. I thank you today and look forward to your continued progress on this issue.
Thank you very much. This is a good chance to once again honor all the groups working to solve our homelessness issues. There are an amazing assortment of people working on this issue, and it is very difficult, but we got to keep working at it. We've got to double down on those efforts everywhere we can. I think most of us probably know somebody that's affected by all of this. So any comments by the board at this point? Supervisor Arroyo.
Thank you for just really elevating the importance of housing. And, you know, that is what we know is the long-term solution, but I also know that we need abundant supportive housing. And there's no one-size-fits-all solution, as I've really come to realize more than ever with a few individuals in my district who really need a lot of support. And it's been eye-opening when you realize that, you know, there really is not one silver bullet. So I have, you know, sometimes it feels disheartening, and I say this to all of the people who work with folks who are houseless and who are striving to make a difference, and sometimes it can feel frustrating and demoralizing because, you know, I don't know, I've been at it in public office for almost 10 years now, and, you know, for every project that is a victory, it feels like, you know, we feel like Sisyphus trying to push that stone forever up the hill. But I think it's heartening to think about the examples of folks whose lives have been transformed by having stable housing and by having supports in their lives that work for their particular lives and needs. And I just applaud everyone in this room. I know there's a lot of folks in this room who work very hard to help people get housed and to help people live healthy lives. And I am so grateful for every one of you. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say that.
Great, thank you. Supervisor Bushnell.
Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you do. I just want to encourage people to reach out to a houseless person or to reach out to someone that you know is having food insecurities. It's not always that that houseless person, they don't always want to be housed, and so to try to understand where they're coming from. My mom was homeless for 10 years, and it wasn't that she didn't want a home, but she wanted to be understood and for me to accept her at the way she was. And most of the time, a lot of the time, if you just say hello and ask how their day is, it's so important to them to have that human contact and to say, you know, even to ask what got you here and is there anything that I can help you do? It really, for me, it helps me understand, and it helps when I see that person again, then I can say, hey, how's your day? Can I help? Can I do something for you today? So understanding too is part of it. And it does take a village. It takes a lot of different people to try to really help the problem and to, you know, come up with those solutions. But just being kind and saying hello to someone that you don't know their story and asking why or can I help you is just a huge, you know, it's human, and people really crave that human contact. So I really just suggest trying that once in a while, especially right now around the holiday seasons.
Great, thank you very much for that. Supervisor Wilson.
I know I've said this probably before, but in a country where 50% of the new wealth goes to the 1%, where we spend the next 10 countries under the table in military spending, we create basically what is a structural societal deficit with relationship to our resources. And oftentimes we find ourselves at the local level debating, arguing, sometimes in not so friendly ways about how to spend the money, the limited resources we have, all with our, not necessarily our own individual ideas, but with a variety of ideas with relationship to strategies on how to address something that we can't even address with the amount of resources that we've got. And it's systemic. And so it sometimes really does feel overwhelming from a perspective of trying to be solution-oriented, to try and get to those places, and knowing that we do have some successes in these spaces, but then you walk outside the door of that place, wherever it may be, where it's like, maybe it's one of our home key projects, or maybe it's the safe parking program that we have in Arcata, and it's still there. But with that, I do want to say there has been some success here. We've had a lot of units being put into place where people are actually living in Arcata and Eureka, more specifically in other places. And I will even shout out to Arcata, which has the only safe parking program in Northern California. So when we talk about it, it's like we have the only one that really is north of the Bay Area. And so, and that program is fairly successful. I mean, I think it is successful in that a lot of folks are coming through that place where we're catching them before they're in vehicles, before they get to a place where they're not in a vehicle anymore and they're moving into housing. And surprisingly, to me anyway, and I just want to put out there, a lot of those folks have jobs. They're working people that are living in their vehicles, and this is the place that we are able to help get them into those spaces, and families. So I just want to say that huge problem. We're all under the weight of that for sure. Certainly many people are under more weight than others, but also, you know, in addition to reaching out to those folks that are in need, reach out to those folks that are working on the problems too, at that, what I'd say, the pedestrian level, and thank them for their hard work, because it's also draining. It's not a very well-paid work, and if paid at all. And we're going to need volunteers come extreme weather time. I'm just saying, Arcata House has put out the call for volunteers. There's not a lot of folks that have signed up. There's a lot of people talking about this issue, but signing up is something, you know, to actually be helpful during that time is something that we still need a lot of help with. So those are my thoughts on that. Thanks a lot. Hopefully we can get through this meeting before 5 o'clock if I don't talk too much. Thanks.
Self-regulation. All right, thank you very much for all of that, and we are running a little behind. Thank you, Winchell, very much, and all the organizations out there trying to help, including us. We're all part of this system.